If you're watching this video, then you've likely been there. You've spent the last hour or so mining on a moon, and you're ready to head back to a refinery, when suddenly, you're interdicted by a pirate. But what do you do? In your panic, you make a quick 180 and hit the boost, and moments later, you and your trusty mining ship are scuttled into the black. Hi, my name is Myre, and in this quick video, I'm gonna try and give you some tips to hopefully make mining and hauling a safer and more rewarding experience. In Star Citizen 313, Stanton is by no means a safe system. And if you're to make it as a trader these days, with the near constant threat of pirates and PvPers, you're going to have to make the appropriate steps and preparations to make yourself less of a likely target to outlaw players. This first tip is for miners, and might seem obvious. However, time and time again, when I head down to a moon, I constantly see prospectors and other miners just tens of kilometers away from outposts. Picking the right place to mine is of utmost importance. Most people on the hunt for an easy target, and especially those in groups, will go straight to these locations and comb the system's moons for unsuspecting targets. Make sure this is not you by approaching a moon in a less populated spot away from outposts. You can do this by either flying to an OM point and flying straight down to a planet, or to be even safer, by quantum splining to a surface outpost and shutting off your engines mid-flight to find yourself a much safer space to canvas. The safest thing to do when mining on a moon is a mix of both, avoiding both orbital markers and outposts. However, doing any combination of the two will already greatly decrease the odds of you being spotted by another player. Additionally, trying to avoid mining in the nighttime, as your headlights and the bright emissions from your lasers are a light show to any players scouring the landscape from near orbit. As of recording this video, the locations with the best and most valuable resources tend to be found on moons, with CIG stating that the less hospitable the moon, i.e. the more extreme their temperature, the greater the abundance of rare material. This, of course, is good news for pirates, as moons are much easier to scout than planets such as Hurston and Microtech. As such, new players looking to get used to mining, with the lowest probability of pirate attack, should avoid high-value moons like Aberdeen, Ariel, and Lyria, and make use of the greater play space that the planets provide. By this same token, mining in gas clouds can be extremely dangerous, given your immediate proximity to a nearby station. However, by dropping out earlier in quantum travel, you can explore the outer fringes of gas clouds relatively undisturbed. This next tip isn't just for miners, but is also useful for those ferrying trade goods and refined materials. Organized pirate groups and solo players alike looking for more of a challenge will often set quantum snares in known trade lanes between planets and stations. Because planets in Star Citizen currently don't actively revolve around their stars, triangulating a quantum roadblock is relatively straightforward for those that engage in regular piracy. Before engaging quantum travel, always be aware of your current position and the route that is set in your star map. A common tactic used by more experienced pirates is to loiter around player hubs in and amongst the pips of NPC ships and other lawful players to keep note and relay the activity of any potential marks. Keeping track of all players in a zone is probably unnecessary and not worth the hassle of you yourself looking suspicious. However, it is important to get a general feel of how busy a station is, as the more ships and players there are, the more likely it is to encounter others in the general area. Generally speaking, a prospector is no good to a pirate without a haul. However, if you've been marked in this way, your whereabouts will inform pirates of where to set their blockades. Just like any other survival game, it's much more efficient for a pirate to wait for you to be fully laden with resources than to interdict you with an empty cargo hold and nothing to lose. When traveling alone with valuable cargo, it is important to avoid all typical lanes of travel, as you can never know if or when you've been marked. For those who have just completed a mining run, this means avoiding all orbital marker points. There are 6 of these per planet or moon, and if you've been made by a large enough group, it's not worth the risk of getting caught out this early. Instead, by taking an extra 30 seconds to leave a moon's atmosphere, you can unlock markers for objects deeper into the star system. When heading from one place to another, which could mean from either a moon to a refinery or refinery to market, it's important to always factor in a deep space detour into your route, stopping midway along the journey to get around any snares lying in wait. Just deviating your lane of travel by even a couple megameters is enough to avoid any quantum snares that may be set up within a trade lane. Doing so only adds about 30 seconds to a minute of extra travel time and greatly reduces any potential headache along the way. Finally, if all else fails, here's a tip that'll be one of the hardest to follow for some, as many are not willing or used to giving up some player agency, even if it means avoiding losing everything. If you followed this guide to the letter, and still by sheer misfortune found yourself on the end of a mantis's snare, it's important not to panic. In situations such as those shown at the beginning of the video, nothing short of an MSR is going to outrun a mantis in the current build, and an MSR a prospector is not. You might think to go out in a blaze of glory, to self-destruct or try ramming the mantis and their blockade. However, doing so will also forfeit your time and cargo. Should you want to get out alive, it's important to pay attention. A pirate isn't necessarily a ganker, and marking a target and setting up a snare can take considerable effort and patience, so in many such instances, in true highwayman fashion, these pirates will often try and reach out to you, either by comm call or through the general chat channel, to try and broker a deal with you, which in and of itself can lead to some interesting emerging gameplay. What happens next is up to you and your shiny self-destruct button. Something I hear increasingly suggested to players that fall prey to pirates is to fly with support. While this sounds like the logical solution to being strong-armed and ambushed, there are a few technical hurdles that make it require a bit of foresight in the current state of the game. There are many benefits to flying with others, including increased scan coverage, multiplayer mining, and just having other people to enjoy the overall experience with. However, doing so can also come with its disadvantages. Firstly, a single support fighter or two might be enough to deter a single would-be pirate. However, unless you're flying with several support fighters, which may not be time or cost-effective for others playing with you, encountering a squad of coordinated pirates will likely at the bare minimum leave your single prospector scuttled before they escape. One good way to utilize a support fighter would be to have it to scout ahead rather than to escort, as any mining vehicle is as good as dead if a situation turns hostile. Scouting in this way can be extra beneficial, as they can also scan ahead for minerals and reduce the time it would take to find a suitable node to mine. For this same reason, quantum linking also isn't advised, as it's much safer for your support scout to be interdicted alone and try and escape than it would be for all of you to be snared and have to come face to face with pirates at a quantum roadblock. It'll be interesting to see how encounters will play out in the future as scanning matures, as it's been said that the signals of multiple ships will accumulate if in close proximity, making large gatherings of ships easier to spot and, as it stands, could expose not only large mining expeditions, but also quantum blockades that might be overcompensating with a hammerhead or two. As of 3.13, the most valuable resource in the game is raw quantanium, which is a high-risk, high-reward commodity made even riskier by the increase in piracy. Should you be wanting a slightly more risk-averse, albeit less scenic mining session, you can always seek out the Aran Halo, a cloud of asteroids that orbits Stanton and, due to its scale, is substantially more difficult to be found in. This area, however, is undeveloped and, while technically in the game, is not officially acknowledged as such by CIG as a location, and as such getting there requires a bit of timing by switching off your quantum drive on approach to the outer planets. More gameplay systems are on the horizon for Star Citizen, with changes to the lore systems and cargo on their way, as well as the outlaw star Pyro, which may hopefully allow for some tighter security and more casual play for the Stanton system. Until then, I hope that these tips serve you well and lead to a more enjoyable and profitable experience. This is my first video of this kind of format with gameplay tips and discussion. If you'd like to see more of this, please consider subscribing and leave a like. And if you have any tips of your own to add or interesting ideas for discussion, please let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, as always, thanks for watching.